was telling me, we were playing together with Doc and them, and they were telling me that, but no, man, when I was adlali, man, just coach, man. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Your World of Champions today, Supersport gets unplugged with arguably the most decorated coach on the African continent from South Africa. We call him Dr. Pitso Mosimane. He has achieved all but everything when it comes to football in South Africa on the continent. 23 titles of note, has coached clubs like Mamelodi Sundowns, Supersport United, and of course, Club of the Century, Al Ahly. He has traversed the world with football, and today he gets unplugged with Supersport. Coach Pitso Mosimane, it is such an honor to have you here today because you have traveled the world. You've gone to the FIFA Club World Cup. You've gone to the FIFA World Cup. But today you chose to come get unplugged with Supersport. Thank you so much for your time, Coach.
Thanks for inviting me, Tato. And this is home. When there's opportunity to be home and invited at home, I will avail myself. I'm humbled.
Well, Coach, I think we're very humbled to have you here because you do avail yourself quite a lot of times.
Thank you.
But we want to go down memory lane.
Okay.
Coach, everybody knows the titles and everything you've done, the awards, the accolades. They're there to see. But what actually drove Pitso Mosimane to football? What was that first bug that bit that said, Bolo e, kyak?
Well, to be honest, the football come from the family background. My mom was born in Pefeni in Soweto. And my mom's brothers, which are my uncles, they both played for Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs. At the one stage, they played against each other on a derby.
Oh.
Yes. So you must understand, my grandmother was a football person. So, and I used to see Orlando Pirates jerseys in front of me from my uncles, and Kaizer Chiefs jerseys in front of me from my uncles. So, and my dad, I don't know if he's telling the truth or not, but I remember going with him to the match.
Yeah.
He said he was a coach. Okay, so I'm not sure about that. I'll ask his friends, but some are laughing and some says, yeah, he was a coach. But anyway, so I come from a football family.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. But yes, I started because I was born in Mogale City in Kagiso and Krugersdorp. But there we were just playing on the streets like any other children. You know, our development programs are not proper. Like unlike now, when we look at my son, he's playing in the Gauteng Development League, he's playing for Kaizer Chiefs, and you can see he's into development, he's training. He started at 6 years, you know. So we didn't have that. We were just playing on the streets. So that's where football came. And then at high school, that's where I think I saw that there's something here, and played football in the school. I was busy at the school.
Yeah.
And at that time, football was Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, all them, they were taken from the schools.
Yeah.
Remember, there was no DDC. And remember, there was no academies. So there was nothing below a Pirates, a Chiefs, and a Sundowns. Unlike now, there's all these
There's options.
So the Premier League clubs used to come to schools because that's where they're 18 years old and 19 years old. And the top talent is like NBA.
Yeah.
You know, it drafts from the
From
college. So from there, it's either you go direct or you're going to stay 1.5 years training with them. There was no DDC. So it's 1.5 training with them and all that, and then they take you up. So I was discovered at the school. Jomo Sono and Braskrima Chabalala, they watched me playing, and they came Wednesdays to my schools to watch me play at the schools. That's where it came from. So our school was a big school in football in Soweto, Skanondwane. And when we played against Orlando High, they were biggest school. You know, it's like the top 5 schools in Soweto.
Yeah.
And when you go to Orlando High, you find Roland is dead, KK, Sono, Kagiso Mogale, Orlando Pirates players.
Yeah.
Seriously, Orlando Pirates players, but the younger ones. And then it's like you find a Mufukende, as we say now, who's playing for Orlando Pirates. And when you go to Midlands, you play a school called Kelekiso, Max Maponyane, Aubrey Makhopela, KK Lenswane. So I think you can know how big football was at the schools, because you already had people who are playing on TV on Saturday.
Max,
They understand, Max. So that's when football was so big. And then when you play at that level, then you start saying, okay, top 12, 15 players from here, they will play in the PSL. So we are one of those ones.
Jeez, coach. Sometimes we never get to hear these tidbits. You go on Google and you see the stats, or he played for this team. But to hear this from you and to also hear the story of Skrima le Jomo.
Yeah.
So as a young child, you've got Skrima and Jomo, they're watching you every single day. They want you.
Every Wednesdays they come.
Now you see, Max have already made it.
Yes.
As a young footballer trying to transcend into a senior player and transcending, was that an easy thing for you?
No, it's very difficult. But look, if you've got some talent, you have talent. But I missed 1.5 years of football at the high school, because my parents wanted me to pass matric. And they said, you are not playing outside the school for grade 11 and grade 12. So I played at the school, but it was so competitive in the school that I didn't really need anything. So I played competitive at the school, and because I had to try and pass matric, which fortunately I think was a good decision, So at least it's not like don't play football. It's play at school, and school is very competitive. So now the challenge is it's so competitive that Premier League, when you play against those teams, Max Maponyane was at the school, a Saturday is playing against Pirates. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So you got to understand how big it was in the school. So start interfering with academics also.
Yeah.
Because now Jomo is here all the time, knocking on your door. At grade 11, Jomo says, come and play for Cosmos. They said, no, you can't play for Cosmos. You must finish your matric. So that is the biggest challenge of putting the academic side with the football side. And now I went to varsity, and I dropped out of varsity. I left varsity for football. So which is
what did your parents say at that time?
No, it's not the right decision.
Yeah.
I have children now. I can never tell them to do that.
Yeah.
But listen to the end of it. After playing, I went back to varsity.
Right. That's why you're a doctor today.
You see, so we ticked all the boxes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say. And I didn't get doctorate because on the academic side, I got doctorate honorary, of course.
Yes.
Honored for the contribution that I've done football in the continent and outside. So do you see that education and sports and football, you can never ever separate them. They go together.
They go together hand in hand. Yes. And I think it also goes back to the kind of coach that you are. What kind of lessons did you learn as a player that you then impart in your coaching career today?
Well, basic, when you at school, I knew I want to be a professional football player. And I always looked at my uncles. My uncles played for Pirates and Chiefs, but they didn't do well academically. And I realized that, I saw that earlier, that, they were not proper in terms of academics. So, and my mom would say, don't go like my brothers. You can play football, but be able to empower yourself, because at the end of the day, the story is when you finish football, you've got to fall on something. Yes. And that's your education now, because your life after football is longer than your life in football.
It is.
Yes, it's many years after football, So it's just to show that that's where I realized that, no, these things, you can't separate them, and you can have them together, and you travel, you read contracts, you're going to talk to your players.
Yeah.
Football today, we're talking now AI.
Yes,
in football. You know what I'm trying to say? So how are you going to do that when you don't have the academic background? So you have to have the academics background. And maybe that's what one of the questions that you're going to ask later that I'm going to ask you, that you can't separate these things.
No, you can't separate these
academics
things.
and sports, you cannot separate.
I mean, right now we live in a time and place, coach, where football has evolved so much. It's no longer just in the dusty streets of Soweto. Now football is very technical rather than tactical as well. So you need to be able to understand
And
that.
academically, yes, because now, for example, when we were doing our pro license course, which is the highest qualification, pro license is the highest qualification in the world, never mind Africa. When you do our pro license, we are our lecturers, when it comes to psychology and nutrition, is people from the university, because nobody can address us with those things unless you are not qualified. There's no coach who's qualified for that. When it comes to media now, we are addressed by people from the media side, and we read, we write notes, we write tests, we write assignments, and when you do media mesh analysis, data and mesh analysis, if you didn't go to school, you'll struggle a little bit with those things. So you see that you can't separate these things?
No, you can't separate it at all. Because then I come to the question, we've talked about what actually got you to playing football. You play football, we've seen all the pictures of Coach Pitso Mosimane, and you're like, wow, coach, you know? but
when I still had hair.
I did not say that, coach. But they're very, very interesting pictures. You then get into past your playing career. With your playing career, what were the biggest highlights, would you say, that Pitso the player would have?
Well, I would say my biggest career playing will be, this thing shifts. It's like you ask me what is the biggest career in coaching. I'll always say this and then it's that. But I think my biggest playing career, biggest input on my playing career was, being given a debut to play against Orlando Pirates in the old Orlando Stadium.
Oh,
cool. That's huge. To step into Orlando Stadium at that time was something else. Yes, it's totally different. So that was the biggest thing, to play football professional. And I would say the biggest thing for my international career is my first game in Europe, and I scored the first goal in the first game. So you see, or maybe scoring my debut for Bafana, scored the first goal.
So on debut, when you score goal, coach?
On debut, or even on coaching, I won the game.
Exactly. But which year was this? Let me rather say, do you remember Bafana on debut scoring?
Yeah, we played away. We played, I think we played Mauritius, Mauritius.
Is it?
Yes, but for me, it's not about playing Mauritius. Playing is wearing the jersey of Bafana.
Wearing the jersey.
Yes, and playing and scoring your first debut,
Wow,
and the first goal of the game. So that's huge for me, was very good. So I can safely say first player to play and coach Bafana.
Sure, coach. That is dope. And before we even get into coaching Bafana, you then move from being a player. The decision to go into the coaching of football, because clearly your love for football is there, but then now you decide that I want to go coach the game. That transition.
Yeah, to be honest, I became a head coach accidental, I'll tell you. I wanted to be the coach physical. First, we did not have coaches who specialize in football-specific conditioning training.
Yeah.
We had generic condition training. We used to take the trainers from field and track.
Yeah.
So those coaches were training athletics. They were coaches who were coaching us in football.
Yes.
Or would get somebody from Virgin Active. You know what I'm trying to say? But the principles are there. They were doing the right thing, but not specific to the sport.
Yeah.
Because if somebody specializes on 100 meters training as a coach, he trains 100, he trains Simbini. We don't have that in football.
Yeah.
We don't run 100 meters. We run 10, 20, 40, maximum maybe 60 in a football match, the distance. So Then if you take those training principles, you put them into football, we are not going to use that. You study in geography when you're going to write mathematics. But the principles of education are the same.
Yeah.
He's a teacher.
Yes.
So, and it will lead to your questions maybe later when we talk about the brand PMF, why we have made PM Pitso Mosimane with football.
Yeah.
Yeah, is to unpack all those things. But that's, so to answer your question, how did I become a coach? So, but because I had, I was coached in Europe. Remember, I became the coach of post-football.
Yeah.
Because I was coached in Europe, I was coached by a Dutch coach, which is the Dutch system that they call it the 4-3-3s. I was coached by a Greek coach. I was coached by a German coach.
Wow,
I was coached by everybody. So they used to train my team when I was playing in Greece. I was coached by those coaches, international coaches. And I remember I was the guy who always liked tactics, the player who likes tactics. And most of the coaches liked me because I'm one of the guys that the coach says, remember what I told you? And this, I used to remember that.
You used to remember.
I used to remember that. And even when I was playing for Bafana, I remember Tebogo Moloi was telling me, we were playing together with Doc and them, and they were telling me that, but no, man, when I was adlali, man, just coach, man. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I was that player that the coach will say, like at Sundowns, I know I had Teko, and I had Mabunda, and I had Teko, Mabunda, and Hlombo Kekane.
Yes.
Those three were also my coaches in the dressing room. So they understand tactics. When you see Teko doing so well with your match analysis, it's because he knows he come from which school.
And look at Sugar, look at Hlompo as well.
They come from they were my coaches.
Yes.
And it rubs off to that, you know. That's what football is about, the tactics and all that. So they were my coaches. They used to tell them, no, but asidlali kanje. Kuthiwa senza kanje bafethu. Why man just change the structure? Why just change lezinto? So those were my coaches. So because I used to be the coach on the pitch, then I could analyze and tactically do it right. That's why Teko is exceptional in his match analysis.
Yeah.
Because I used to give him homework. I used to say, how is the team going to play, how we organize things and all that. But not only him, everybody.
Everybody.
And he'll be that player that listening to say, oh, Sidlala ne Chiefs. Who is the most important player? I used to show them. Where are they strong? Where are they weak? How do we need to approach this because of this and that? So that's where the tactical side come from playing and from being coached by many, many, many coaches. But I was interested in the strength and conditioning side.
Yes.
And why is because I became one of the fittest players in my team when I was the most unfittest player when I came. And I just flipped.
Flipped over.
Yes, because I had a trainer who, my friend, in fact, trained me in the afternoon. But it's a coincidence, he was a national athlete for Grace and became my friend. And he was also helping us with the physical side. So he said, no, I need to condition you, come with me in the afternoon. So I used to train extra. And suddenly I was leading the team physically.
Yeah.
Yes, with the running and all that. So then I said I want that because I wished when I was playing in South Africa at that time, before I went to Europe, I said if I had this condition in South Africa, I would have done much better than that.
100%.
But was conditioning, was not technique, because tactically I was okay.
Yeah.
Even technique, I had other things, but I was not the fittest. So I knew why when I was in South Africa, I was never the best, even though I did well. I scored a lot of goals.
Obviously, we've worked with you for many, many years.
Yeah.
But getting to learn all these tidbits and see that you are so passionate about education, so passionate about paying it forward with young players and coaching. I then come to the question to say, obviously you're a coach right now.
Yeah.
But what would be more coaching or playing?
Look, I think the best part of my career is post-playing, is on coaching.
Coaching.
Yes, because when I was playing, I was not an Abedipele, I was not a Kalusha Boala, I was not a Mohamed Salah in Africa, I was never a George Weah, you know, those top players who were playing African players. But when it comes to coaching, at least I managed to, you know, to win more than anybody in Africa. So I think it's post. And Africa doesn't know me as a player. Africa knows me as a coach.
100%. A coach who's had and done basically everything in South Africa, on the African continent, but you take it further, which for me, coach, was really testament to the kind of person you are, not even coach. You then are at the highs of your career with the club of the century, and you come and give back to South Africa a gift that we need, the Pitso Mosimane youth football. Can you elaborate? What is this wonderful brainchild that you've had with your team?
Yeah, it comes back to what we've been discussing. I got spotted where? At school. Right? And then I said, everybody is focused on the top, the tip of the iceberg, which is the big teams that are playing in the Premier League. And I said, but imagine if, how did I come? I come from the schools. So it means there's something in the schools. And I said also, let's be honest, I made a research and I said, why is a Barcelona producing players in La Masia? Why is Ajax Amsterdam producing so many players for the world? What is it that they are doing that we don't do? Why we don't have players playing there? You must remember I coached Pinar, I coached Benny.
Yes.
I coached Nomvet, I coached Zuma Ray. I've coached these top players.
All of our best players.
I've coached Pesip Tau. So then I wanted to know, but why we don't have a player in Real Madrid, man? Why we don't have it in Man City? Why we don't have those players there? Then I researched and I checked. I said, we are talking about the tip of the iceberg at the top. You know, if you look at the triangle of a pyramid, we're looking at the top. We forget the bottom. And where is the bottom? They start at age 5 minimum to train. They start at age 5. That's where Europe starts to train the players. So where are all the children playing at clubs at that age? No, not all the children are playing. So we're missing out on players because, you know, in the township, you don't train, even if you play for a club. But if you go to a township, you say, Mfuniboni team under 7s. There's no team. No, there's no team.
There's no team.
So how can we close the gap? How do we develop our things? You know, sometimes you must copy good things, né?
Yes.
And I'm not saying copy everything. But if I've made a car, and I'm telling you about how to make a car, you've got to listen to me because I've made it.
Because you've made a car.
Yeah, you know, you're going to not listen to somebody who's never made a car. And he's telling you,
square wheel.
Yeah, it's like somebody telling you how to be rich, but you are not rich.
Yes.
It's very difficult to convince me because I'll say, if you know, do it for yourself first before you can tell me how to be rich, you know.
Exactly.
Be rich yourself.
Yeah.
So somebody who's done exceptionally well, whether academics or whatever, you will listen to that person because he has walked the road. So I said, if we want to develop football in my country, where do we going to develop them? Where are the children? All the children are at school who are between 6 and 9. They're all at school. So when we go to schools, we never miss anybody. If you really want to scout players, they're at school. Don't tell them about the clubs. Very few play in clubs.
And very few know of the clubs.
Yes. And it's not easy to access the clubs. That's why I went to schools. I said, we need to start at the schools because the foundation of my country is not proper.
Yeah.
Okay, we know what to do, but sometimes we don't know. And everybody talks about our development programs.
Grassroots.
What?
Development grassroots.
Yeah, but okay, fine, we know that. But how to do it? How? How are you going to do that? So the best way is to intensify and introduce football in the schools. But I don't only start at football. I start with physical education.
Okay.
So I do physical education at the schools. And then you can ask me, oh, but you said you are doing football in the schools. But if you really look at the fundamental stages, which is the 6 to the 9 years
6
old.
to 9 years, yeah. Developmental age.
Remember, physical education is a subject.
Yes, it is.
A school.
Yes.
So we're missing that point. So then I said, there is an opportunity to do physical education. And when you do between 6 and 9, we're working on hopping, agility, running, locomotion, the physiology and anatomy of a child. So, and also UJ has helped me by going to UJ and study, okay? So whether it's netball or cricket or rugby, he has to hop. Basic. When you play netball, you hop. Yes. When you play basketball, you jump. Yes. When you play rugby, you throw.
Yes.
Okay? When you play rugby, you also jump because there's this thing they throw and all that. The scrum, the strength, and the speed on the sides, those with the Habanas who are running. So you can never do any sports
without doing basics.
Without the foundation. You can't read when you don't know A, B, C, D, E.
Thank you.
Right? So then I say, it's a no-brainer. So how do I expect a player to run or kick or whatever? I don't care the sport that he does. But also for football, he has to do that. And by the way, the government says, hey, you have to do that. It's a subject.
It's a subject at school.
So then I start there. I said, how do I expect him to hit the ball, to jump in football?
If he doesn't know his ABCs.
He did not do the ABCDs. You want him to read. And then you say the child is stupid. No, he's not stupid. You missed the foundation sides. So that is now why PMYF was formed, to start with the basics, and then the 6 and then we do age-appropriate training.
Programs for grade per grade.
Grade. If you look at the children who are doing grade 9, you show grade 1, you know the ages. If somebody says he's doing grade whatever, you can easily say he's 13 or 14.
Yes.
So when the academics do it like that, why when you go to football we don't follow? Why we take a grade 5 academic and you put it on grade 1s, and when we say, but this boy doesn't know how to play football. And then you think your child cannot play football. But no, actually, the coach is taking grade 5 academics and he puts it in grade 1. It's too difficult for this child to digest. Physically, he's not developed. The muscles are not developed. The bones are still growing and all these things. So, and mentally, they are not ready to absorb this.
To even grasp what you're saying.
And you must know the child's psychology. Between 6 and 9s, they think they know everything. They're busy. So how do you coach the 6 and 9s? You don't coach them because I was coached by Coach Pitso. Now I'm an ex-player. I'm going to coach the youth. And then you take what I was doing, the tactics, you want to put it on the 6. No, they're young. They're not developed. So you've got to come with the right steps. And that's what the world is doing. Okay? And we are not big at that in my country because I'm looking at my child who's 14 years. He has played football from year 4, year 5. Because I started him, I understood this thing.
Yes.
And look, he's doing well, to be honest. Those who are in JDL, which is Gauteng Development Leagues, they know him. He scores goals. Okay? But he's lucky because he got the proper development, age-appropriate training.
Yes.
And I knew what he must do at 6 and 9.
Yeah.
I knew what he must do between 4 and 6. I knew what he must do that. He's stronger, he's faster, he's quicker. It's there. Well, if you want it, you can watch it.
We can't wait to see when he's 21.
Yes. We don't know what's going to happen at the end.
Yes.
But imagine those children who have more qualities than him, and there are many.
There are many.
But they don't get the grade 1, the grade 2, grade 4. And then we say, but hey man, we are to dribble, but I go now. I was shoot because we did not make him to do, they call it long-term development program of a child. And it has the principles of training the children, understanding the child's psychology, understanding the child's body, understanding the characteristics of children who are playing at this time and age. Yeah. So you don't coach because you are choosing to coach. No, you must know that we are focusing on this child when he reaches grade 12, that he is in a position to go to university, and we are preparing him to be an entrepreneur or whatever he does,
Within the footballing space.
whatever, outside.
So, Coach, when it comes to Pitso Mosimane youth football,
Yes.
I do understand that it's not just about schools,
No.
or not only that, it has different varied alleys to it, about
yes.
4-prong or 3-prong. Can you elaborate exactly what else falls under the umbrella of Pitso Mosimane youth football?
We have mass participation program.
Okay.
That's what, and we put that one, we put it at Pitso Mosimane soccer schools.
Okay.
That's what we do in the schools. The physical education, football movements, general movements, football movements, football specific movements, and playing football.
That's the last of it.
Yes, but it took me 2 years to understand this thing. You must know that for 2 years I've been learning and understanding this thing, because I knew how to win a trophy at PSL. I knew how to win a trophy at Sundowns, how to win a Champions League, at
Champions League at
Al
Ali.
Ahly, to go to the FIFA Club World Cup. That's what I've been knowing. But this thing humbled me. But my child has given me an opportunity to learn about youth development football program. And that's why we're saying our children are not good in football. No, he's not. He's good.
He's good.
You gave him grade 3 curriculum at grade 1.
So we've got the Pitso Mosimane.
That's what we do in the
mass
schools.
participation.
And then we go out, we're saying, as a what do you call this thing when parents are still at work and they're saying children
Extramural activity.
extramurals. We do that after school for those parents
Yes.
who says, I'm still at work and my child loved football. And I don't want him to be going around. We don't know where he's going to train and whatever, and safety and all that. He says, bring them to us. We will keep him here. When you finish at work at 5 or 4, come and collect him.
Nice.
Do you see what I'm saying? And this is the child who has done physical education with us inside the school.
Yes.
And if he's playing football in the schools, we are also training him. Those are my coaches who are doing that.
Yes.
They do physical education. They are training them as a
Extramural.
inter-house, and when they play other schools, and then extramurals. And then we have now another program of inside the community Pitso Mosimane football clubs, where we allow everybody to play. In fact, it's not really that you are that talented and then you need to play there. No, our teams don't win, even not all the time. They lose, they win. But we're saying, give all this child that you've been doing physical education, give him, look how you come with him. He's going to develop physically, mentally, and we do also life skills inside there.
Yeah.
Social and life skills. We address nutrition. We know a proper product that comes out of sports. So that's what we do now in extramurals. And then we say, some parents say, we want our children to play. You've been with our children in the school. We want them to play at the weekend. They want to play football.
Yes, they want to play.
Then we made Pitso Mosimane football clubs. Then they play there. So if you can check how you come with this child.
Yeah. From during school time,
Thank you.
physical training, then
Physical education in the morning,
extramurals later
extramurals,
on.
and then he wants to play football
At the weekend.
He's playing for us. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So that's what we do with communities.
Yes.
We are putting children playing football in communities, right? And then I said to myself, okay, you are coaching these coaches. Do you have a curriculum? Do you have a manual that you are talking about? Like I'm telling you how to coach a 6 to a 9,
Yes.
9 to a 12. Oh, we have put the cart before the horse.
Moving from youth football and really just going into your football philosophy, or like they say in South Africa, solofosi. Your teams are always known for their tactical prowess.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, how would you then say, this is Coach Pitso Mosimane's coaching philosophy? This is what I believe in. This is my manual. This is my Bible. Yeah, Dr. Coach Pitso Mosimane.
You would never believe what is the core of that.
I'm curious.
I just coach the human being first. I don't coach the football. I don't coach football. I coach the human being. Because the human being is a talented football player in those structures. When you come to Sundowns, you go to Al Ahly and all that, you cannot be in that space playing for Pirates and then when you're not talented. Remember?
You're not talented.
You're already talented.
Yeah.
So he comes with talent. He's got the talent to play for that. So I focus a lot on the human being, coaching the person. Because if you coach the person will the talent will look after itself. And what do I mean? I mean, you have to make sure that the player trusts you. You have the player know that you back him. You have to know that the player must know that you care about him. I'm talking about now social side.
Yeah.
I'm not talking football. Before we put tactics, how we're going to play, whether it's a 4-4-2 or 3-4-3 or 4-3-3, before we go there.
Have to deal with this first.
Yeah, because there's a time when talent matches talent. When we play against another team, speed matches speed. Strength can match strength. What do you think will overcome?
Tenacity.
And
attitude.
And the attitude and the mental side.
Yeah.
So you cannot help the player with the attitude by coming on the negatives only. You have to come on the positives. And you've got to come a lot when he's on a low. So that when he's on a high, whenever you say to him, I don't think we are doing well now, he remembers.
He remembers.
When you were on the low also, remember?
Yeah.
Not when you are on the high. Because now when you come, when he's on the top, you'll say, when I was struggling, where were you? And he won't listen to you. So you have to deal with the human being first. After you have done with the human being, you will see that the mental attitude, the determination, the attitude, the will to win is going to build up. Then you come with the tactics. And then you come with the technique. We can win.
So you need to be a psychologist, essentially. Psychologist, coach, and father.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not a psychologist, but I'm not clinically accredited to can do that.
But you have to know.
But I know if I speak strong to Percy, if I speak strong to a certain player, he knows that on difficult times I was there. So he doesn't question me. Why are you like this? He says, oh, but this one, when it's difficult for me, it's always there. So, and it humbles me when I look at the social medias of most of my ex-players. Masina was speaking about our relationship. I mean, the boy cried. Pa, Gatla, how he speaks. Mpela, how he speaks. Ricardo Casa, Dane Clate. You can go on and go on. You know, I was humbled by Jabu Pule on his podcast, speaking about our relationship. And we were not there for long. I was with him for 1.5 years. And he cried of the support that he had during his difficult times. We all know his difficult times, you know. And it was not about football.
It wasn't about football.
No, it wasn't football. Javupule is talented. What am I teaching Javupule to play football? You know, you don't teach Relemu Foken to play football.
You don't.
Excuse me. The boy is talented.
Yeah.
But you got to give him the side of the social support, make him understand the will to win, make him understand the why to win, make him understand how you enhance, how you support the talent he has to be the best players, make him see, oh, there's a Lamine Yamal, younger than me, playing in the same position.
Yeah.
What does he do? You know, you have to show them this kind of things, and they should learn. But you must also not be hard on yourself as a coach because they must also come to the party.
I was also going to ask.
They must come to the party.
I was going to ask that question, Coach. I mean, this all works out in a player who already comes with a positive mindset.
No, but you can build it.
So I come and I'm a player, but then I become I just misbehave. I am ill-disciplined. I do not see my talent. I am not giving you what you see in me.
Hence, we have that mass participation program that we did at the early age.
Yeah.
We show them teamwork, we show them respect, we show them how you need to speak to yourself, how the boys must speak to the girls.
Yes.
That's very important because you can see the society we're living in.
Yeah.
You know, the boys must learn to respect
No, true.
a woman, a girl, you know.
Yeah.
So we need to also teach those kind of things. Why you have to do this thing the right way. What is the vision? What is the outcome? If you do 1, 2, 3, 4, you are bound to have that. If you do 1, 2, 3, 4, you are bound to have this. If you don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, we are bound not to have that.
Not to have that.
You understand what I'm trying to say? You can't not practice mathematics, but you want to pass it.
Hey! What is it that motivates you when you see a player like such raw talent, and you see raw talent in South Africa, across the world, wherever you've coached, and you see the potential of a player and where they could be? Do you get excited by that? Is that something that you see where they could actually be and able to impart that on them as players?
Yes, it's exciting. I mean, I've seen a lot of young players coming up. I've seen Kigendoli developing.
Yeah.
I've seen Kama developing, Kama Billiard.
Oh, Kama.
I've seen that. I've seen a lot of passes. I've seen Tembazwane raw. When I was playing for ACs, I said, no. She should come here and play here. She can come and play here.
Yeah.
Percy playing, living in Percy, playing for that Wheatback space.
Yes.
Come back, Percy, come and play. I've seen that, and I have enough history. I've seen Pinar at 16 years playing 15, playing for the under 17 at 15 years in Sports School of Excellence. I've seen it. Not here, I've seen it. I've looked at it, I've been around, I've spoken to them. I've spoken to Pinar at 15 and 16. I said to Pinar at 16 that you will play in the English Premier League. I swear to God.
Really, coach?
Yes, I bought magazines. You see that magazine Shoot that you have there?
Yeah.
The Shoot and Measure there.
Shoot, yeah.
I think I bought 4 or 5. I took them to Stephen Pinar. He had a problem with his knee. He was at the hospital. I took about 4 or 5. I gave him those magazines for him to read on bedside.
Really, coach?
Yes, I said you'll play in the Premier League. What happened?
He played in the Premier League.
Thank you. So you don't need a Sangoma to teach us all these things or to foresee these things. Let's be honest. Look at the academics. If you take children who are C students, the level of C students, you put them in a very good school. You give them good teacher. They will remember they have capacity to go to B and A. Ne?
Yes.
Okay? But you teach them discipline. That they must do their books, there's time for study, there's this. You give them those assignments and you follow. You follow on discipline and all that. I mean, they're talented. They will go to B and A.
Yeah.
Because they have that capacity,
Yes.
remember? So it's the same with football. It's the same with football.
Same with football.
Yes. It's a no-brainer, Tato. We will produce players. We will produce players. And if we follow and we believe and we do the right things, and somewhere, I also think it's a bit sad for football because football doesn't have the biggest support. And also maybe we haven't marketed it that well, or we haven't promoted it that well to be there. And maybe business, corporates, and by the way, they don't understand also. Ne? This is what we are talking about.
Yeah.
So sometimes we blame them. And they say, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Because a marketing guy at the biggest corporate doesn't know what I'm talking about until he listens and he studies. But if you put it with academics, because he's an academic guy who is an entrepreneur around, then he understands. So it's a long way.
And that time at Egypt, you know, Coach, you seem to enjoy yourself so much. From us looking from the sidelines, you know, Ekipita, they respect you, Pitso, a lot, Coach. They respect the work that you've done, and I think we saw that. Your time in Egypt, what would your highlights and your lowlights be from that?
Sure, I think that's high. That's look. You must always say. If you ask me what was the highlight of your career, I'll say my first game I won. You can always go like that.
Yeah.
The first title I won here and the first cup I won with Supersport United. We can always say that. But I think the pinnacle is Al-Ahly because we won the Champions League
Jeez.
many times.
I mean,
and conservatively won the bronze medal in the World Cup, being the third best club in the world.
Sure, coach.
2-3 times, playing against Bayern, and it's like this.
Mano y mano.
No, it's not 4-0.
Yeah.
It's like this.
It's like that.
With Lewandowski on the pitch, with Manuel Neuer as a goalkeeper. You can just mention all these things. They are all of them in the pitch. And coming to neck with them, you know, and for me to beat Al-Ahly of Saudi, which is the biggest club in Asia, and we beat them 4-0, then that's why I went to Saudi, because they've seen me beating the biggest club in Asia, and in them, that's why I'm in Asia.
So you beat them, you joined them.
You got to show. You can't speak.
Yeah.
You got to show. You got to play against Palmeiras. You got to beat Palmeiras. Palmeiras is the biggest club.
Yeah.
In South America. They win Libertadores. Libertadores is winning CAF.
Yes.
But in South America, so nobody speaks in South America, whether Argentina or Brazil or whatever, we beat those guys. That represents the whole continent of South America. We beat the Americas, that has beaten North America and Central America. We beat the Mexicans. We beat them. So that is the level. And God has been good to me, you know, God bless, that we enter all these countries and you come there. Oh, coach, how are you? Because you have to beat the whole Asia. Because you got to beat the team that represents South America. You got to play against it. You got to play against the team that has beaten all the teams in Europe, which is Bayern at that time. You know, Coach Thomas Tuchel to come and talk to you, not I talk to Thomas Tuchel. You know what I'm trying to say? The coach of Barca, Hansi Flick, is a coach of Barcelona now. He's on top of the log. Top. We talk. We communicate. Spending time with Pep in Barca through the president of Barcelona, the current president. So those are the things that humbles you. Arsene Wenger sitting with you over breakfast, discussing football with you, then you get humbled. You know, I mean, how big can it be, Tato? You know.
Hey, I'm humbled. I'm sitting here with you listening to these stories,
No,
Coach.
it's another story, another level.
You know, everybody is extremely proud of you. It feels like we are living vicariously through you as you traverse the world. And you're speaking about having breakfast with us and Wenger, and really having like a sunny setup and discussing football.
Yeah, we're talking football.
But now, you then go to the club of the century, and I think most of us here in South Africa would understand Al-Ahly a lot better, but then you achieve La Decima. That just makes you Tutankhamun of Pharaoh.
Yeah, it's a big club, it's sure. Then you start knowing, even Esteghlal, the one I went to in Iran, is one of the biggest clubs in Asia. Those clubs are not, you know, it's like, unbelievable, Tato. It's like Johannesburg Football Club. I hope you understand.
I understand.
Johannesburg Football Club.
I understand.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I understand.
Is the biggest club in Johannesburg. So everybody supports that club in Johannesburg. Imagine if you are a coach of that team, when you move wherever you are, it's the only team they support.
Yeah.
So that how big it can be and how intensive it can be, and it shows the responsibility and humbling. I must be honest, I think I'm more appreciated a little bit outside than in my country. But yes, I am loved in the country. You see it every time I move around. People give respect, you know, and I'm humbled. And it's the game of football that has given me that chance. You know, but in Egypt, it's another story. And that's the biggest club, one of the biggest club in the world.
Yes, coach, I've been to Al Ali and trust. They know about Mamelodi Sundowns and what you did before you got there. And it was so beautiful to see Egyptians really, when you say, I'm from South Africa, they tell you about Coach Pitso Mosimane. They tell you about Percy Tau. They know exactly what the love that they have for football in that region is unsurmountable.
Yeah, look, Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs are big in the
Yes.
country. We all know that, okay? But the coach of Orlando Pirates or Chiefs can pass. And it's okay. You know, in Egypt, you don't coach Al Ahly. You don't pass.
No, yes.
They stop you.
Yes.
You don't pass, they stop you. And they treat you like God. Imagine, I mean, think how big Johannesburg is.
It's big.
You know, and they're football fanatics. So, and by the way, when you come to Al Ahly to coach Al Ahly, they show you how many. The first thing they did is they took me to a museum and they show me the number of trophies they won in the league trophies, the number of cups they won.
That's crazy.
Okay, so basically they say to you, if you win the league for us, we have won it 35, 37 times. Okay, so excuse me.
Yeah. Ed.
Excuse me, when you win the league for us, oh, it's that thing we won last year. And we've won it 37 times.
Jeez, coach.
No, it's another space. And then I asked, but what's my role here? They said, 6 years, 7 years, we haven't won the Champions League. We haven't been in international space. So we want to play the Club World Cup. We want to conquer Africa again. That's your job. And we want you to go to the Club World Cup and give us a medal.
And you deliver it on a silver tray?
That's all you
On
have
a
to,
platter?
that's all you have to do. League, Cup, like Nedbank Cup. These things, we win them all. We
Bekele big.
Bekele big.
Isn't does it?
Aye. So you got to understand the pressure now.
Yeah.
Because now I want to win those things. And when you win that, they are happy to be international space. And by the way, we've won it 8 times or 9 times. So you put 10, 11, 12, yeah. So it's another space. And it's too intensive, Tata, I must tell you.
I can only just but imagine and not even know what that feels like. You know, coach, you've gone throughout the world and I've noticed something. You like setting yourself challenges.
Yes, I like new things.
I like those
Challenging
challenges,
things,
yeah.
yes. And sometimes I go to clubs that you ask yourself, oh, but why here and there? It's because I want to change the status quo. I need to make history in those clubs. I mean, Al Ahly today, there's Riyad Mahrez, there's Mendy, there's Firmino.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 months after I left. So, and I went back to play against them.
Yes.
Which is 2 months back.
Yeah.
And we managed to draw against them in my old stadium.
And how was the reception?
They gave me the jersey again. Every time I go, they give me the jersey. The supporters great, and they're humble. They don't forget where they are and where I left them. So it's humbling. Sometimes I wish I can receive that in my own country, but sometimes no. But we have to build a culture of football.
Yes.
It will come with our grandchildren.
It will come, coach. You know, sometimes Thank
you.
praises
Yes.
same way.
Yes.
You've challenged yourself with Pitso Mosimane Youth Football,
Yes.
and that's the academy. What would you think Pitso, who would be sitting at home and his mom and dad sitting there and Jomo's waiting for him on a Wednesday to come play football, would that Pitso have thought that we'd be sitting here today having gone to Al Ali,
No.
the Gulf?
No. This is what I always say. I give, it's humbling. I always tell Jomo and the late Skrima Chabalala that if it was not of you guys, life would have been different for me. They really contributed. They saw the talent. I did know nothing. I didn't see nothing.
Yeah.
They saw that, and they told me that you're going to be something in football, come. And now, you know, from the township. Now I live in the same neighborhood, 3 streets from Jomo.
Oh, good.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's humbling. I visit him. He visits me.
Oh, wow.
You know, and I am never ever gonna forget the contribution that he has done to me. You know, when I received my doctorate, because he's also got his honorary doctorate.
Yeah.
So he was there to come with me. He says to me, "Can you believe thina sifundanga kodwa sisibizwa bodoctor singafundanga."
So must be support.
Singafundanga. You know, so yeah, to say that now the academics has given us the support and respect with the game that we're doing. Hence, I can never be out of the schools because the academics have supported me.
I'm a young coach. I am literally looking at Pitso Mosimane. I am working towards getting my coaching licenses. I want to be part of Pitso Mosimane Youth Football. I want to be part of these coaching clinics. What's the first piece of advice, as our last question, first piece of advice to someone who wants to be a coach, especially in the space in South Africa with everything you're talking about and the Youth Football Academy?
Who wants to be the coach?
Yeah.
Okay. I think first you must love it. You must love it, and you've got to have it in your system. You know, everybody wants to do whatever he wants, but sometimes you don't have it. Okay, I always like to say, I don't know, example, okay, idols. Everybody wants to be an idol.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to sing.
Yeah, everybody doesn't want
sees
the
it.
wooden spoon.
Everybody wants to be seeing himself on TV, singing, having a career, maybe like this girl who's Tyler. Everybody wants
to be Tyler.
Everybody wants to be Tyler. You know what I'm trying to say? But not everybody will be in Tyler.
Of course.
But some people can work with Tyler. Some people can develop Tyler. Some people can put Tyler on the pedestal and support him and make a star, pitch him at the right places. Some people can produce music for Tyler.
100%.
You understand? So that's what I say to the people of football. I said, you might want to be the coach, or you want to be play, but you might not have the best talent to play.
True.
But you can be the top coach. Okay, my career has been much better as a coach than as a player, right? Some people have had the best career as players and not as coaches. Do you know what I'm saying? Some people have become best players and best, what to say, Kezamtau.
Yes.
Chairman
Football
Dr.
owners.
Kezamtau.
Chairmen.
From top player.
Yeah.
To the top institute.
100%.
You understand? Maybe you want to be Kezamtau. Maybe you want to be Jomosono. You know, Dr. Ivan Kozad never played at the Premier League. But you must listen to his stories with Orlando Pirates, how he developed, how you came up, how he supported. So you might be one of those as a football player. We don't know where you're going to end up. You might be Tato. You might be Tato Mwing now talking to us as a girl who loved football.
True.
All right? You might be a doctor in football. You might be the guy who wants to design the architect of a stadium.
Yeah.
You might be a marketing person at Chiefs, at Pirates, at the Bokeh, at the high level.
100%.
So it comes from the sports space, sports background. We've got Olympic Games, we've got World Cups, we've got big things that are happening in around sports. You might be the president of the
association
SAFU or SAFA or SAFU. There's so much you can do in football. As doctors, as marketers, as managers, they've got
media officers.
You want to be at MTN
branding,
sponsorship.
Everything.
Let's go on. Let's go on. You can have a career. You can be the one that is sponsoring Kaizer Chiefs or Pirates as Vodacom, marketing, what.
True.
Understanding the game.
Understanding the game.
All right. So football gives that. So when it comes to coaching, you have to love it, and you have to understand the subject matter, because you can never be a subject expert when you don't understand the subject.
The subject.
Yes. You know what I'm trying to say. And also, you need academics, because we have gone to UJ to learn sports science. What is a muscle structure? How is muscle developed? How is the human anatomy and physiology? I don't coach tactics only. I've done that. I understand those things. When a trainer says we need to do 20 repetitions 5 times, I can question why not 4 or 5.
Why not 4? Because you understand.
Yes. When nutritionists come here and says, this is what we need to eat for pre-match meals, this is what we eat for... I've done nutrition at UJ. I have to understand that. So you have to have the whole holistic facets.
All the areas of the cake, the circumference, everything, understand.
And understand football tactics also. You understand? You don't only necessarily have to have played. You can play at school, at youth, or whatever, and you might not play at professional
football,
level.
yeah.
Yes, we have varsity football that can give you bursaries. Just play this game and get the academics, get the degree out of that. Just get scholarships.
Coach, you're gonna make me a coach. You're gonna make me leave here and go to UJ and get my licenses.
Yes, you can be a coach at the varsity college, at university. We see you on TV. There's varsity football. Win the cup, win there, compete there. You see coaches that we have never done, and some coaches develop into that. There's DDC.
Yeah.
Show us, you know. Unfortunately, what needs to be developed in the country is we need to praise and acknowledge youth football. Coaches, the top coaches who says, I'm a coach for the under-7s. I specialize. Like a teacher who specializes in grade 1.
Grade 1.
Yes, the most important.
And doesn't do high school.
No, and it's the most important because that's the elementary stage.
Yeah.
That's the way you go in. There's a coach who says, there's a teacher who says, me, I like the 12s to the 15s, grade whatever.
Yeah.
So we need to praise that also in South Africa and acknowledge that. That's why in Europe, you find even ex-players who are playing at the highest level. They go back and coach under 15s.
That's true.
In a club.
That's 100%.
Yes. So we don't have that in South Africa, to be honest. But we need to. It's never too late, Tato. We can learn. US never played football, Tato.
Yeah.
At the moment, they're ahead of us. They're ahead of us. The US women football are number 1 in the world.
Ahead of us, yeah. And that is shocking for the rest of us because we've always had football players. But you know what, Coach? One day I'm going to come to you as a coach and I'm going to be...
In your next life.
I'm going to be the best coach at Pitso Mosimane Youth Football. And I'd like to personally say from Supersport and everybody else who's a lover of football, Ra leboga. Shukran. Thank you so much. Dr. Coach Pitso Jingles Mosimane.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Coach.